All right, next up, Joe. He's already ready.
I'm right here. Thank you all very much. I want to just give you guys a little context. I want to share these images from my ongoing creative placemaking project. It's called the Pikes Project. And the Pikes Project combines street photography with photo essays, social practice art, and poetry to highlight Nashville's historic Pikes roadways, so Gallatin Pike, Nolansville Pike, Charlotte Pike, etc. These roads connect some of the most diverse and dynamic neighborhoods in our city. And if you want to follow the project and add your own Pikes pics, get on board at Instagram at Pikes Project, at Pikes Project on Instagram. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Photography is communication through illumination. Photographs are reflections of light, highlighting reflections of memory, bright memories, dark memories. Take a moment to glance through your memories. What color is their light? Photographic images are ubiquitous in the cultural conversation we're having with ourselves, about ourselves, who we've been, who we are, who we might become. Packed together pixels and photosensitive surfaces document the mundane and the magnificent in our personal lives, the lives of our communities, our countries, and our world. When photographers lens the natural environment, I'm reminded of Martin Buber's I and Thou in their attempts to apprehend the other, to trap a wild thing in a box of light. But when we photograph the built environment, we capture the man-made reflections of our own human cultures and the values which inform them. When we photograph the built environment, we capture only ourselves. Photographs of the built environment tell us about the interests and activities of the people also captured in their frames. Unpopulated images of the built environment, pictures of empty buildings, photographs of abandoned spaces, can sometimes be haunted by unsettling ghosts. People-filled photographs of activities and events within the built environment document the human energies that activate architectural spaces. Photography can also measure the aftermath of human activity in the environment. Consider how a crime photograph peers into the subconscious of the streets. The challenge of creating energized and empowering structures and spaces is matched by the photographer's willing wrestling between an unblinking lens and a visionary gaze. Hunter, sniper, voyeur, spy, artist. For photographers of the built environment, art is not an epic battle waged for mountaintops or seascapes or desert dunes. Their creative placemakings are street rumbles, fought for sidewalks and storefronts, alleyways and rooftops. In the novel The Great Gatsby, the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg stare down on Long Island from a billboard with the judgment of a god staring down from the firmament. Photographers judge too, but lines, color, symmetry, and framing are not cosmic justice. The great work of photographers of the built environment is to reveal the soul of a place without the prejudice of preconception. When we freely offer our eyes to the streets, we may soon find true signs shining all around us. Propaganda fights for the future, but photography can only point to the past. Photographs of the built environment may be used to celebrate or to condemn, but the best architectural images capture a sense of place resonating beyond the luminous vibrations of reflected photons. Bob Marley reminded us that the living is the hardest in the concrete jungle. Contemporary photography of the built environment has commodified entropy and neglect in an orgy of ruined porn. When tattered textures and faded hues find their ways into the frames of image makers, we might recall Susan Sontag, who wrote that a camera is a sublimation of a gun, committing a soft murder in a sad, frightened time? Is a gun still a gun when it's pointed at a closed factory? Is a gun still a gun when it's pointed at an abandoned home? We must guard against exploitation when we lens the contemporary ruins we find in the built environment, just as we do when we point our cameras at marginalized people and populations. There is more to balance in the photographer's frame than only lines, colors, textures, and spaces. The art beast roams free through the built environment, which can catalyze creativity or monkey wrench it. The built environment is as endlessly inspiring and frustrating as the human consciousness it embodies and the human cultures it reflects. As we roll forward into the 21st century, our past is present even as the future races toward a strange place. Photography can't ensure the material permanence of the past, but it can ensure that the past remains permanently place-marked in the images we etch in yesterday's light. Photography doesn't cast a light on the built environment and the cultures it represents. Photography captures the fractured reflections of the best and the worst we have to offer ourselves within the spaces and the places where each of us also casts our own reflections and our own shadows. Architecture and infrastructures house people and businesses, support economies, and connect dynamic neighborhoods and diverse communities. At its best, photography of this built environment must be as dynamic and diverse as the people and the places it reflects. For the photographer of the built environment, every frame is a blank slate, that tabula rasa that might remake the world, make it new again. Photography of the built environment reminds us that it's our perceptions of our mundane surroundings that make the concrete only hard, the steel only cold. Photography of the built environment captures our reflections as we move under, over, through, and around it. And it reveals that, like ourselves, our dead-end roads, zigzag alleyways, and everyday sidewalks may also be places full of novelty, wonder, and dreaming. Thank you very much.
Yeah.